Flash really wasn't sure when he first noticed the lines. One moment, he was zipping along at high speed on a quick tour of the Earth's trouble spots and making valiant rescues. The next, he was standing, scratching his head and puzzling over the lines. They were hard, black lines, straight and solid. They seemed to mark a boundary and ran on both sides of him, atop and below. He could see sky over his head, and yet the line somehow was above that. He sped up nearby Mount Rainier in hopes of reaching the line, but it remained tantalizingly close and still beyond his reach. The same was true with the line below his feet. He took a deep breath and began tunneling at super speed through the ground. The line pulled away, like a mirage of heat on a steaming concrete road. Yet it appeared very real. Infuriated, he sprinted toward the line in front of him, going faster and faster until he became just a blur. Somehow, the line was even faster than the world's fastest man. It stayed ahead of him at the bottom of the Atlantic. Planets whizzed by in the dark reaches of the universe, and, amazingly, the line preceded him. He would stretch his hand for it, but always come inches short. Even when part of his body seemed beyond the line, in fact, the line remained hard and true and, incredibly, untouchable. Flash ran as he had never run after a villain. Faster than when he burned a long streak across the jungles in Brazil. Faster than when he scaled Mount Everest and rescued a hapless climber. Faster than when he single-handedly defeated a swarm of alien invaders. His red tights became an instant of crimson across the horizon. Yet the line was faster, ever receding, ever just out of reach. Panting, he finally stopped by the cooling water between the Washington and Lincoln memorials in Washington, D.C., to soothe his jangled nerves. Why hadn't he seen the lines before? They clearly boxed him in, yet did not restrain him. They were there and yet not there. He could not understand them. He wondered who might have an explanation. He started with Superman, who was then relaxing in his civilian clothes with a beer in his small metropolis apartment, watching a football game and grousing about his low salary on the Daily Planet. For all his rugged good looks and incredible strength, Superman did have some weaknesses. He was not philosophical, nor did he really notice much in the world around him. He existed, that was enough for him. He listened calmly to Flash's concern and noted the lines with a quick glance. He then shrugged. "They aren't made of red kryptonite, are they?" he asked. Flash shook his head. Superman chugged the beer and then belched loudly. The apartment building rattled. "Then it doesn't matter," Superman said. There was a pounding on the door. "What are you doing in there, Kent?" someone squealed. The doorknob twisted as if someone were trying to open it. "Landlord," Superman reported, "can't even burp without getting someone upset around here." He got up slowly. "Watch this," he suggested with a wicked grin and focused his X-ray vision on the doorknob. A second later, there was a loud yelp from the other side. Superman opened the door. An old man was standing there, blowing on his hand. "Got to run," Flash called and sped out the window. Superman waved. "Now, Mr. Gunderson," he was saying mischievously to the old man as Flash headed beyond hearing, "you know that reporters have to be careful, so I booby-trapped the door." Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Captain America, now retired, Flash Gordon, and even Dr. David Banner were no help. They all knew about the lines. The lines were part of their daily existence but did not interfere with their activities. They just defined the borders of their lives. As such, they did not matter, like the death of a stranger in a distant village far from public view. Green Lantern, who was again busy hunting for his missing ring. As usual, he suspected Kato, who had likewise vanished, said he had tried using his light on the lines, but had detected no impact. Thereafter, he had ignored them. Spider-Man found his web did not cling to them. The Human Torch couldn't burn them. So, all the superheroes, if they acknowledged the lines at all. Several hadn't even realized the lines were there, simply pretended the lines did not exist. Flash, however, was not satisfied with that approach. The lines bothered him. He had simply not noticed them before. Questions gnawed at him. What lay beyond the lines? Who placed them around him? Why? As a last resort, shortly after 10 a.m., he reluctantly stopped at the lofty front door of the haughty Wayne mansion. He always hesitated talking to Bruce Wayne, who had a rich man's arrogance and a tendency to belittle honest inquiries. Moreover, he had no special powers, and so really didn't understand some of the dilemmas confronted by a true superhero. Still, he boasted of a state-of-the-art computer that just might contain some knowledge about the lines. Wayne was home. Alfred, the butler, let Flash in. He gave not a second glance at his red, skin-tight costume, but merely directed Flash into the library. Seated in a Louis XIV high-back chair, his polished shoes resting on an authentic, plush Persian rug, Wayne was smoking a pipe and reading a book. A single light behind him cast a glow in the otherwise shadow-filled room. It outlined his black, silk smoking jacket, and filtered down his perfectly creased slacks, and caressed his glistening black hair. He raised an eyebrow as Flash entered, but did not say anything. Flash did not speak. Finally, Wayne gave a slight sigh, closed his book, and placed on a nearby end table. He knocked his pipe once or twice into an awaiting ashtray, neatly swept a couple stray ashes into the receptacle, and sat back in his chair as though it were a throne. "Good morning," he said. "You are off and running early." He stifled a smile to reflect that he recognized the joke in his comment, but did not want to offend a guest who may not have been blessed with the same sense of humor. "Full speed ahead," Flash said quietly. "Good man," Wayne said without any emotion. "If you are looking for Robin, he is on an excursion and won't be back until evening. If you come back tomorrow, I am sure he'll be pleased to play with you." He glanced hopefully at his book as a kind of hint. Flash didn't respond in kind to the jibe. "I have a serious issue to discuss, Mr. Wayne," he said. "But if you'd prefer I wait for Robin, I will. Perhaps he could handle it better." Wayne quickly picked up his pipe and used the distraction to smother a retort. "Since he's not here," he said, sucking quietly on the stem, "I'm willing to give you a minute or two. I am sure it isn't anything too complicated." He stuffed tobacco into the bowl and lit the pipe, and an acrid cherry scent filled the library. "Women problems, you are considered a bit fast." He managed a smile around his pipe. "Or is it a liability? Insurance is higher, possibly beyond your means. I could loan you some money, but the stock market—" Flash stopped him by raising his hand slowly and deliberately. "I'm referring to lines," he said. "Lines of what?" "Perhaps you have noticed," Flash said, sitting down on an armchair without invitation, "that we have lines all around us." Wayne arched his eyebrows. "That's all. You should have talked to Robin."